Dear students, we have seen that heat is energy transfer from one system to another or from one part of a system to another part arising due to temperature difference. So energy transfer is due to temperature difference. What are the different ways by which this energy transfer takes place? There are three distinct modes of heat transfer. One is conduction, second is convection, and third is radiation. We have considered conduction. This is an example for conduction. You can see a metal rod. One end was kept in flame, another end was kept caught hold by his hand, and the heat. See here, this end was at some 100 degrees centigrade. Suppose this end was at 0 degrees centigrade. There was temperature difference. Therefore, there was heat transfer from this end to that end through the solid metal rod. Here, the metal atoms or molecules did not move. Only heat energy transferred from this end to that end. Such mode of heat transfer is called as conduction. Medium is required, but medium particles are not moving. Now let us go to the second type of heat transfer, and that is called convection. See here, for convection an example is given. Here flame is there, and from that hot gases are coming up. Always hot gases go up only. Why? Because the air absorbing the heat energy expands, its density decreases, it becomes light, therefore it moves up, and the cold air which is sideways rushes to the vacant space, and again the cool gas absorbing the heat energy goes up, and the hot gas moving up cools down. After cooling down, its density increases, therefore it again comes down due to gravity and goes up due to buoyancy. In this way, we find a cycle. This is called as convection cycle, and this mode of heat transfer is called convection. So we will be considering convection mode in detail now. So here conduction is seen in solids, and convection is seen in fluids. Fluids are again classified as liquids and gases. Now, if we consider liquid example, you take water in a beaker and you start heating. Then first the bottom part of the beaker absorbs the heat energy by conduction. See, because this is a solid, this absorbs the heat by conduction. Now the lower layer of water absorbs the energy again by conduction. See, because it is in touch with the bottom, so the bottom layer of water also absorbs the heat energy by conduction only. So the bottom layer, after absorbing the heat energy, expands. Then its density decreases. Why? Means density is equal to mass by volume. When its volume increases, its density decreases. So its density decreases. Then force of buoyancy lifts that part upwards. In this way, the lower water layers absorbing heat energy come upward. After coming upward, they lose the heat energy to the surroundings, become cool. Again, its density increases, and then because of force due to gravity, it slowly comes down. So in this way it describes a cycle. And that cycle is called as convection cycle. So here what we observe, the medium particles, that is water molecules, are carrying the heat to all parts of the water. They are carrying. So here the medium particles are moving. So in case of conduction through solid, the medium particles, the solid particles did not move, only heat energy transferred. But here the medium particles are moving, and by moving of the medium particles only, heat is transferred to all parts of the water. So liquid part you have considered. Next, gases. As far as gases are concerned, when gathering sticks, when you put a fire, when you set a fire, you can see smoke moving upward. Why it is moving upward? It can spread on the surface of the earth. No? The reason is it is getting heat energy from here. After absorbing the heat energy, its volume increases, its density decreases. That's why it goes upward. Again, force of buoyancy works because this part is immersed in air, atmospheric air, and this part is having lower density. That's why buoyancy force moves this upward. So immediately the cool air around the fire occupies the vacant site, and again it absorbs the heat energy and goes up. Okay, what about the air part which moved upward? That after cooling down, then it becomes denser, and the force of gravity brings it downward. Again absorbing heat energy goes upward. So in this way we find a cycle called convection cycle. And here also the air particles, the air molecules, by moving they are helping the heat transfer. That's why this is called as convection. Convection is a mode of heat transfer by actual motion of matter. It is possible only in fluids, liquids and gases. Convection is two types: natural convection, forced convection. Now let us see. Let us consider simple examples. A hot cup of tea was served to you. When it was boiling on the stove, it was at 100 degrees centigrade. Now it is poured into a cup and served to you. It is kept on a table. Now you are not drinking because it is very hot. You kept on a table. What do you find? See, from the surface of the tea, vapors will be coming upward, you can see. See, actually here, after some time, after say 3 or 5 minutes of time, then you can find it cooled. Why it has cooled? The reason is um, here this is at high temperature and surrounding is at lower temperature. Say room temperature may be some 30 degrees centigrade. So there should be heat transfer from higher temperature to lower temperature. But by which mode? If it was a conduction, it would flow through the solid. But see here, this is a liquid. How it will lose the heat energy to the surroundings? See here what happens. On the surface of the tea, air is there and that air is in touch with the tea surface. So the lowermost air layer absorbs the heat energy by conduction. After absorbing the heat energy, it expands, its density decreases, and it is in the it is submerged, it is immersed in atmospheric air. So buoyancy force works and takes it upward, it moves it upward. Okay, now here vacancy is created and that vacancy is filled up by surrounding cold air. Again the cold air, lowermost layer absorbs the heat energy by conduction, expands, gets less denser, and force of buoyancy moves up. So in this way heat energy from the tea is transferred to the surroundings, and this method is called as convection. And see here buoyancy force came and it helped the hot part of air to move upward. So what about the hot part? Where does it go? It moves upward to some distance, and on the way it gets cooled down, and again it becomes denser. And since it is denser, force of gravity, because of force of gravity, it again comes down. So in this way one cycle is completed, that is called convection cycle. So in this way the tea loses its heat and cools down. Here to get it cool quickly, we pour the tea into a saucer, because more surface area will be in touch with air by pouring in a saucer, so that it can cool down quickly. See there in conduction here, their rate of heat transfer was directly proportional to temperature difference and area of the cross section of the solid, and inversely proportional to length. Just like this, here the heat loss by convection also depends upon the surface area. It depends upon the surface area. And it depends upon the temperature difference. Temperature difference means temperature of tea, temperature of surroundings. So here also the rate of heat transfer is directly proportional to area. See here the surface area is less, here the surface area is more. So compared to this, here it will lose the heat quickly. More the surface area, more rapidly will it lose heat energy. So it is directly proportional to surface area, and it is also directly proportional to temperature difference. So this is afterwards written as H A theta 1 minus theta 2, or H A delta theta, and this Q by T can also be called as H. H is equal to small h A delta theta. So in this way we get an equation for this. So here, and these are examples for natural convection. See, suppose you want to eat food, rice is served in a plate, and if you keep it on a table surface and you wait for 5 minutes, it will cool down. So all these are examples for natural convection. But suppose you have no time, because it is getting late, so you have to leave to your school, college or office, and very less time is available. Then what you do? Then suppose you want to eat food, you put this served plate under a fan to get it to cool down quickly. Suppose current is not there, what do? You take a notebook and start waving over it. So in this way, this is called as forced convection. Or suppose you have to drink tea, bus is ready to move, then what you do? With your mouth you blow air over the tea surface, and you sip the tea. So these are examples for forced convection. So blowing air, putting under fan, using a notebook and waving over it. So all these come under forced convection. So convection is classified into two types: natural convection and forced convection. Now let us consider as many examples as possible for natural convection. After completing natural convection only, let us go to the forced convection. Okay, in natural convection, see, force of buoyancy helped the hot air go up, and after its cooling down, gravity force helped it to come back again, and the movement was due to difference in density. See, these are the keywords coming in natural convection. Now coming to the examples, first let us consider these examples: sea breeze, land breeze and trade wind. Now you look at the diagram carefully. See, it is daytime, sun is shining in the sky, and you are beside a lake. This is earth, this is water, and water's specific heat capacity is very large, and earth capacity, the land is made of silicon dioxide, and its specific heat is low. Land specific heat capacity is very low, but water specific heat capacity is very high. Water specific heat capacity high. For earth it is low, for water it is high. What if water's specific heat is very high? What happens? See, its specific heat capacity is very large, means it takes more time to get heated. It is heated very slowly. Now this is daytime. Here water is there in the lake. Here earth, land is there. Out of these two, which gets heated quickly? Since its specific heat capacity is very less, this gets heated very quickly. And the air layer in touch with the earth surface absorbs the heat energy by conduction, and that layer absorbing the heat energy expands, its density decreases, and now what happens? Force of buoyancy moves it upward. Now here a vacancy is created. That vacancy will be filled up soon with cool air coming from water surface. See here, even though it is daytime, even the sun is shining in the sky, earth has got heated, but water takes more time to get heated. It did not heated still. Therefore, water on its surface is having more density. That's why slowly it moves towards the land and occupies the vacant site. And again, absorbing the heat energy from earth's surface moves up. Again, the vacant site is occupied by cool air coming over the water surface. So what happens to the air moved upward? The air moved upward transfers some of its heat to the upper air layers. In that way, it loses the heat energy, gets cooled down, then contracts, and its density increases. Then because of force of gravity, it comes down. See, one cycle has been completed, and this cycle is called convection cycle. And see, the high dense air layer is moving from water surface to earth surface. See, the persons sitting here will feel the coolness carried by the sea breeze. Okay, now sunset has taken place, night has come. Now see, since earth specific heat capacity is very less, it gets heated very quickly and gets cooled down very quickly. It absorbs the heat energy rapidly, and it loses the heat energy rapidly. So it loses the heat energy soon, and it is cooled down very quickly compared to water. Earth cools down very quickly compared to water. Now, since its specific heat capacity is 4186, very large, it cools down very slowly. It means what? It is warmer than land. Water is warmer than land. So if water is warmer, the air layer absorbing the warmth goes up, cools down and comes down. Here cool air is moving from earth to water, therefore this is called land breeze. Here if we write the temperatures, it can be very well understood. It is night time, it is cooled down very quickly. See, land cooled down very quickly. Therefore the temperature is, suppose here the temperature is in the night time, our earth loses heat energy very quickly, so it cools down very quickly. Suppose its temperature is 20 degrees centigrade, but water it loses heat very slowly, therefore its temperature is 35 degrees centigrade. So compared to land temperature, water temperature is higher. Therefore here air layer absorbing the heat energy going up, cooling down, and here see here 20 degrees centigrade means lower temperature. Therefore air layers in touch with the land will have more density, and air layer in touch with the water surface, since its temperature is more, they absorb the heat energy, expand and move up. And in this diagram, see, this is daytime. In the daytime, the land will be very hot. What can be its temperature? It can be some 50 degrees centigrade. 50 degrees centigrade. But water, just 20 degrees centigrade. Now sea breeze, land breeze over. Next we have to consider trade wind. Now let us consider trade wind. Why the name trade given? In olden days, the air travel was not there, to the countries which are far away. They have to go there on ships, sailing over the oceans. So while traveling on the sea water, they made use of wind by tying the cloths. You might have seen. See, if a ship is like this, see, you have seen, see, like this. See, suppose air is moving in this direction, so a cloth was tied like this, with a large surface area, and air used to push this, so moving of ship over water made easy. So when wind is moving in this direction, they used to travel in that direction, so that making use of less amount of fuel, they can travel large distances. So in this way, for travel, they made use of the wind direction. That's why the word came trade wind. Okay, in which direction the trade wind flows, and how its direction is decided, what factors are deciding its flowing direction, its blowing direction, is very interesting. Let us see. As usual, we know very well that as per our earth is concerned, it is not a perfect sphere, it is a oval shape. Its diameter is large at equator and small at poles, that we know already. Now, and one more thing, equator is nearer to the sun when compared to other parts. See, the distance from equator to sun is the least distance. This is the least distance. If you consider the distance between pole point and sun, see, as you move from equator to poles, see, the distance gradually increases. The distance gradually increases. In which way direction you consider, the equator is nearer to the sun and pole points are farthest from the sun. That's why the places, the regions at equator will be very hot, and the regions near pole are cold, because the sun rays fall in oblique direction. Here the sun rays fall normally, so here the heat loss is less. That's why the places on equator are very hot. So what happens, the air layers in touch with the equator absorb the heat energy, and they absorbing the heat energy, it expands, density decreases, force of buoyancy moves them upward, and as it moves upward, what should happen? This vacant site should be filled up by a cold air. So where is the cold air available? It is available at the pole. So from poles the cold air comes to the equator and the hot air from the equator goes up. So here we should have a convection cycle. So air rising at the equator gradually moves towards the pole, and heavy air following the earth surface fills up the vacant site at the equator. In this way you find a convection cycle from equator to pole point. But here a slight modification is made, and that modification is because of two factors. One factor is our earth is moving on its own axis, that that is called as rotation, and the rotation direction is from west to east. That's why we find sun rising in the east. So our earth is moving from west to east. Our earth is rotating from west to east. So if earth is rotating from west to east, the air layer in touch with the ground also move in the same direction, because the earth surface drags the air layers. That's why in the same direction the wind layers move. That is towards east, from west to east they move. And with what velocity they move, the rotation velocity of the earth. See, you are not considering the angular velocity, angular speed. We are considering linear speed. Linear speed at the equator. See, linear speed of our earth at equator is 1670 kilometers per hour. So air layer in touch with the earth surface also move with same speed. So here the trade wind speed is given 1600 kilometers per hour. So with the same speed the air layer near the surface move. So because of earth rotation, in the same direction the air is dragged from west to east. But simultaneously, due to convection, due to temperature difference, the hot air should move towards the pole. See, simultaneously two forces are working on that. See, wind is working in the north direction, and convection buoyancy force is working towards north direction. So once again you see our earth is moving from west to east. So air layers, the wind layers also should move in the same direction. So earth drags the wind to move towards east direction. But the equator is closer to sun, so absorbing the heat energy, the hot air expands and moves up. A force of buoyancy lifts it upwards towards poles. So one force is towards east, another force is towards north. So in which way should the trade wind blow? So the resultant direction to east and north is northeast. Therefore in northeast direction the trade wind will blow. Now let us consider forced convection. Transfer of heat due to the forced movement of the fluid by mechanical means such as a fan or pump. See, in these days air pumps are used. They are called as dryers. Nowadays, see, usually they were used in salons, hair cutting salons, but nowadays they are being used in our houses also to dry up the hair quickly. Hair dryers are used. They can pump hot air. Here they also remove the uh, uh, the wetness, they speed up the evaporation of the water, and the hot air, the speeds up the evaporation, gets cooled down, and it is removed. Again, fresh hot air comes in. So in this way, see what examples we are considering. Uh, See here, so let us go to the examples later. First here a general definition is given. In forced convection, we are making use of fan or pump. So in this way, using mechanical means and employing forced movement of the fluid, suppose tea is hot, you are forcefully blowing with your mouth over the tea surface. So in this way, forced movement of the air or forced movement of the water, like that. Fluid means liquid as well as air or gases. So in case of forced convection, either gas or liquid forcefully moves over the hot surface. Now let us consider examples. Number 1, heating rooms by pumping hot air by fans. Second one, cooling them by pumping cool air by mechanical methods. Next, another example of forced convection is third example, blood circulation in the body. Another example of forced convection is blood circulation in the body. Heart pumps blood to various parts of the body. When the temperature of our body is too high, blood vessels near the skin expand and more blood can be pushed into them by the heart. Then heat is flown from the skin into the cooler surroundings. So this is third example. And another example is cooling system of an automobile engine. Cooling system of an automobile engine. Automobile engine is cooled down by convection cycles only.